Sweden's artillery modernization has become one of the most closely watched developments in Northern Europe, not only because it reflects Stockholm's shift after joining the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, but also because it reshapes the balance of firepower along the entire Baltic region. In a part of the world where geography dictates strategy, the Swedish Army's decision to upgrade its artillery corps, expand ammunition stockpiles, and field new platforms is interpreted by Nordic observers as a measured but unmistakable signal. The era of strategic complacency is over, and Sweden intends to stand as a fully capable pillar of the alliance's northern flank. The Archer 155mm system, long admired for its automation and shoot and scoot speed, sits at the center of this transformation. In recent months, Sweden completed major upgrades to its Archer version C on the 6x6 chassis, integrating a modernized fire control system, enhanced software for ballistic computation, and improvements to the automatic loader. These upgrades restore the vehicles to frontline readiness after years of incremental updates. Parallel to this effort, the new Archer mounted on the RMMV HX 8x8 platform completed successful live-fire trials. The 8x8 version offers significantly better operational range, improved stability during firing, and compatibility with a wider family of North Atlantic Treaty Organization logistics systems. For Nordic analysts, these enhancements indicate that Sweden is moving toward a more expeditionary, highly mobile artillery force, one capable of operating both within its own territory and in coordination with Finland, Norway, and other partners. Modernization of the platforms alone would not change the strategic equation without the ammunition to sustain operations. That is why Stockholm's decision to authorize more than 5 billion Swedish krona for new artillery shells is viewed as decisive. It is the largest ammunition procurement of its kind since the Cold War. The investment reflects an understanding that high-intensity conflict requires enormous volumes of precision and conventional rounds, and that Sweden could no longer rely on minimal wartime stockpiles. The purchase also strengthens Sweden's role as a reliable contributor to North Atlantic Treaty Organization contingency operations. Within Nordic policy circles, this decision is widely interpreted as evidence that Stockholm is preparing not just for deterrence, but for the possibility of sustained defensive operations in a regional crisis. The war in Ukraine has deeply influenced Swedish thinking. Stockholm's choice to supply Archer systems to Kiev illustrates both solidarity with European security and confidence in its domestic industrial base to replenish national inventories. The systems delivered to Ukraine have generated valuable operational lessons, especially in counter-battery engagements and dispersed firing patterns. These lessons feed directly back into Swedish doctrine, accelerating the evolution of tactics centered on rapid-fire missions, coordinated sensor-to-shooter networks, and survivability against long-range retaliation. At the same time, Sweden's contribution to Ukraine has stirred debate among some citizens who fear that visible support could provoke political tension with Russia. Nevertheless, a clear majority of public opinion in Sweden, Finland, and Norway supports strengthening regional defense capabilities as a necessary response to the changing security environment. To understand why artillery is so important to Sweden and its neighbors, one must examine the operational realities of the Nordic theater. Northern Europe features dense forests, limited road networks, and harsh winter conditions. Armored formations cannot maneuver freely, and air operations face periods of degraded performance. Under these constraints, highly mobile artillery emerges as the most reliable form of sustained firepower. The Archer system, capable of firing 3 rounds in 15 seconds and then immediately relocating, offers a style of mobility ideally suited to Scandinavian terrain. Its ability to deploy, fire, and withdraw within roughly 1 minute allows it to evade counter-battery fire and survive in a contested environment. This trait is particularly important for defending long lines of communication between Sweden and Finland, including reinforcement routes running through forested border regions. The alignment of Sweden and Finland within the North Atlantic Treaty Organization has also generated new expectations for interoperability. Archer's modern digital communications suite enables integration with joint targeting data from Allied drones, radars, and command systems. This compatibility makes the system a force multiplier for Allied operations across the Baltic Sea region. In crisis scenarios, whether involving pressure on the Baltic states, instability near the Kola Peninsula, or localized escalations along Finland's long border, an integrated Nordic artillery network could deliver rapid, coordinated fire missions capable of halting or disrupting hostile advances. For Nordic audiences, this link between national capability and alliance responsibility is a central theme. Sweden's artillery upgrades are not merely national defense measures, but contributions to a collective deterrence posture. The question many analysts ask is, what exactly is Sweden preparing for? Several strategic scenarios are commonly discussed. The first is a limited Baltic Sea confrontation, in which tensions escalate around maritime choke points or the island of Gotland. In such a scenario, the Archer system would act as a rapid response fire brigade, providing land-based fire support to secure key coastal positions. A second scenario involves pressure on Finland's eastern border. Sweden's integration with Finland means that artillery support could be deployed to reinforce critical sectors during a crisis. The 8x8 Archer variant is particularly relevant here because it enables long-distance mobility across rugged terrain. A third scenario is a broader, long-term competition with Russia, in which Sweden's priority is to maintain a credible deterrent that integrates artillery, drones, sensors, and North Atlantic Treaty Organization-wide command structures. In this environment, Sweden's investments in ammunition and digitalization become essential elements of readiness rather than temporary responses. Public sentiment in the Nordic countries aligns closely with these strategic considerations. While Nordic societies generally favor stability and avoid confrontational rhetoric, they also value realism and preparedness. Support for strengthening artillery capabilities is grounded in a pragmatic belief that deterrence reduces the risk of war. In Sweden, polling and public discussions reveal strong approval for modernizing the army, especially after the country's admission to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. In Finland, where memories of past conflicts remain deeply rooted, the reinforcement of Sweden's artillery corps is seen as a stabilizing factor for shared regional security. Norwegian observers, though more cautious about regional escalation, recognize that Sweden's improvements to its artillery force contribute to the overall resilience of the Northern Alliance. Sweden's artillery modernization therefore represents more than an upgrade of a single weapons system. It is a strategic recalibration that places firepower, mobility, and alliance integration at the core of national defense. The Archer system's evolution, from upgraded 6x6 platforms to newly tested 8x8 variants, supported by massive ammunition investments, signals Sweden's intention to operate as a fully capable frontline contributor to Northern Europe's defense architecture. As the Baltic region continues to shift under geopolitical pressure, Sweden's modernized artillery stands as both a symbol and a practical tool of deterrence. Fast, networked, reliable, and ready for the demands of a more uncertain era.